Hi, everybody. Welcome to Bo Knows Stuff. I'm Bo. This is Dr. Maha.
Hi.
My lovely wife. So, we wanted to talk today as a follow-up on our previous episode about resilience. So, last time we talked about going to see someone, a professional for physical checkup or a mental checkup. So, that led us to discuss behind the scenes. We're giving you guys the inside look around the concept of resilience. So tell me first, our dogs might make some noise there, Lexi.
As per usual.
As per usual.
Crashing our video.
She's not up in my face this time, but that's okay. So, Dr. Maha, tell me about resilience and what it means to you.
Well, I was just going to ask you, how would you define resilience first?
It's
Make sure we're on the same
responding
page.
to your wife properly, as we're doing here. Drinking a little apple juice.
Keep training him well.
So how do I define resilience?
Yeah.
It's a big part of my philosophy. She's bringing the Frisbee down. We're going to try to not play with the Frisbee. That's she, the dog, not my wife. So resilience to me is adapting to challenges. Physically, it's being more prepared for the demands that we can kind of anticipate in life. Hi, Lexi. She's in my crotch. Hello.
The dog, not the wife.
Oh. Oh. All right. So, hi. She wants to play.
Hi, baby.
I feel bad. She's shaking the video camera. That's okay. All right. So, that's my definition.
Yeah. So basically adapting to challenges and being able to deal with challenges, right? That would be how I would define resilience as well. And I would say that similarly to physical challenges, resilience is something that you build with like gradual or quote unquote safe exposures, right? Or kind of not structured necessarily, because you can't always structure challenges, but being able to confront
Like she's
certain
playing with our
challenges
cardboard box. Anyway, so that
in
might be.
a kind of progressive way. So if you have, let's say, an ability to deal with X challenge and you overcome it, then the next time, hopefully, X challenge will feel slightly easier to deal with, and then you can deal with something a little bit more difficult.
Like
right?
the challenge of your dog making noise in the background of a podcast recording. Sorry.
Exactly. So I've trained myself to deal with that challenge.
Try not to hit the table.
Okay.
There's a
So-
challenge for you.
So my point is, in relationships,
Yes.
you build resilience pretty much the same way. You go through challenges together, and it really is how you deal with challenges. So challenges are going to cause pain, frustration, conflict, anger, sadness, whatever emotion, anxiety. Then I think it's how you repair things after the challenge that would be significant, and that would kind of determine how well you can get through other challenges in the future, right? So, let's say you have an argument or a conflict. If you first of all, the way you have an argument is going to make a difference. So, for example, if you're going to be name calling or saying hurtful things to each other, that potentially is going to create more damage than if you were respectful with each other and still disagreeing. Obviously, if there's like any intimidation or physical or verbal abuse going on, that is going to be more damaging than if you were respectful with each other. So the way you deal with a challenge plays a big role. So being able to still be respectful or manage your emotions to the best of your ability in the meantime. It doesn't mean that it's not challenging, but being able to, in the moment, be as, I guess, kind as possible. Okay, that's number one. And number two is, like I said, the repairing afterwards. So you do disagree, you have conflict, you feel angry, hurt, whatever it is. Then it's about the ability to reflect afterwards and take responsibility, accountability, to the things that you unintentionally did or said that contributed to the issue, and then being able to come back to your partner, maybe apologize, take ownership of some of the things that you may have said or done that, you know, contributed to the issue, and, you know, having the intention and learning in order to do things differently the next time. So if you don't learn from things, then you're not necessarily going to deal with things better or differently in the future.
You are doomed to repeat your
Exactly.
mistakes. Those who do not learn from history.
Yeah.
So what that brought up for me is word jumble, but in physical therapy, in physical training, strength and conditioning, we can anticipate and build resilience by kind of progressively programmed a process.
Yes.
So saying like, we're going to do, you know, 1 week, we're going to run this amount, and we're going to do this much soft tissue work to recover, foam rolling, massage, stretching, what have you. Is there a way that we can do this for our relationship in a kind of programmed way?
That's a great question. I was thinking, well, there might be a way, but at the same time, we can't control everything. So as much as you want to maybe progressively build things, shit happens in life, right? And you might be faced with a challenge you did not predict and can't control.
I think that just changed the rating on iTunes to explicit.
To better. So, but at the same time, it would be great, I think, if couples started to, you know, talk about some of the difficult things progressively throughout the relationship. So, for example, you know, I wouldn't necessarily encourage a person to share the most vulnerable, private thing about themselves the first time they meet someone, because they haven't built that trust with that person yet. I think there's a process of building enough trust and gradually opening up to the person that you build that kind of trust and confidence and resilience, I guess, in a relationship, right? So same thing would follow with like discussing your values in a relationship. Obviously, these are important things to discuss, especially in a long-term relationship. And I'm not suggesting you wait years before you talk about important things, but you might want to start with something that's a little less potentially threatening or intense, and see how that conversation goes. Learn from that conversation. That's going to teach you a lot about yourself as well, not just about your partner. Learn about that conversation about yourself and about your partner, and then next time you can maybe, once you've built a little bit more confidence and kind of resilience or practice with your partner, you can start to introduce more complex issues. But again, shit happens. It's not always going to be, you know, in our control.
Yeah.
And you might be faced early on in the relationship with something that is very challenging that you might not have predicted.
Yeah, and I would say, if I may, on the relationship side, it's not my expertise, but I get to marry this one, and she gets to... Oh, hi again, Lexi. Sorry, she's not on camera.
She needs attention right now.
She definitely needs attention. Almost making me lose my train of thought. But yeah, the more we challenge things, so like you said, not going too inflammatory, but starting to have those conversations at some point when it's appropriate in the relationship to challenge. And the term hormesis is something that in the physical sense we talk about, but I think applies for the relational sense. You're familiar with that term, yes?
Not really, no.
We haven't touched it. So a hormetic response is one. So if you take a cold shower, you have this kind of huge response, right? Like if those of you who have never really taken a cold shower, or maybe you've kind of had that cold experience, you can imagine the kind of
it's like an ice plunge.
Ice plunge, anything like that. But you know, that's one example of a hormetic response where you're challenging the body in a way, and the body will adapt.
Yeah, but like the initial shock that you're talking about.
There's that initial shock, that negative thing that we're just so not used to. So the same thing if you went into a super hot room, sauna, for the first time, that's something your body has to adapt to. It's a hormetic response. So in pushing that to the relationship side, again, we're not trying to make you guys fight in the relationship.
Some level of conflict is healthy, I think. And, no conflict or zero disagreement is not always a sign of a good relationship, in my opinion. That brings me to talking about things you don't like. I think that's also something to build resilience in. So, for example, you're not necessarily gonna from the first day you meet someone or your first date, tell that person all the things you didn't like about that evening.
Right. Well, I mean, sorry if this is cutting your thought process down, but it brings up an interesting thought for me of, is it a matter of not knowing yourself? And again, I think what you talked about earlier came up for me is most people don't explore a lot of these deeper concepts for themselves. And again, let's take, we're in 2020 here as we're recording this, the abortion topic is coming up, and I hope that doesn't get me censored on YouTube or whatever. But things like that are things that maybe we haven't thought a lot about, or been able to come to terms with where we stand on some of these issues. Maybe we don't stand anywhere. Maybe we haven't put that much thought into it. But that's the point. I think if you go into these concepts, that brings home the concept of values. And a lot of people just haven't explored their own values.
Absolutely.
And in the fitness side of things, when I work with somebody, they come to me, and obviously they value fitness to some extent. If they're working with me, maybe it's because they have an injury, and it's something I have to work around. Lexi's freaking out about something there. So the value side, I think, is something that's interesting. So I don't know. Again, I know there's no perfect answer of on the third date is when you should talk about that. Obviously, like she said. If I may quote you, is as you build trust, as you feel comfortable, every relationship's going to be a little different.
And I think people change too. So you might have a conversation early on in the relationship about a value, and then your opinion might change.
Lexi, come.
Your opinion might change. 3 years down the line, and that's fine. You have to keep having these conversations. People change. I'm also talking about things you don't like about the person. So,
those things come up.
Yeah,
they'll change as well.
They will change, and again, it's about pointing out, or not pointing out, but expressing how you feel about certain behaviors
in a constructive manner.
Exactly, and so you build resilience that way too, in terms of gently, kindly.
She's eating my massage table. It's fine.
Bringing up some things, throughout your relationship that frustrate you or hurt you. I think it's important that people communicate about these things, and often people don't, as much as I want to use the word should, although I hate that word, but should in the sense that I think it would be helpful and constructive for the relationship if they, build that line of communication in terms of talking about the things that hurt them or frustrate them about some of the behaviors that their partner engages in. And that's also how you build resilience as opposed to resentment. Linking last episode to this episode.
That's a good one. Yeah, resentment can be...
I should be on TV.
You should be. We played around with that. She'll play some piano soon for our outro. So resentment can be one of those big things that causes relationships to end or causes trouble in relationships. And resilience is one of the ways that we can fight against that, for sure. Again, speaking with your partner about that, I think, can be huge.
And learning skills. So part of the physical resilience, right, is learning the right way to squat or to run or whatever. And so the same thing in relationships. You can learn, quote unquote, the right way to communicate. It's not necessarily
the right way, it's getting better.
Yeah, but what I mean by the right way is the healthy way to do something.
Is there a healthy way? Again, I know, I've heard some of your advice Oh, she's playing with our Swiss ball.
So, for example, when you want to express a frustration,
the I versus you.
Yeah, it's less productive to say, "You're so lazy.
I'm laughing at the dog, not at her.
You never make me breakfast," for example, as opposed to.
I said I would.
I feel ignored or uncared for when you don't make me breakfast. So, the first one is blaming, accusing, judging versus expressing how a behavior or lack of behavior affected me.
Yeah. I'll give another example similar to that. When we ran this couples workshop that we did on the physical and emotional relational side in Dubai, we had a couple who I remember they said, you took the last bit of chocolate in the house, is what the wife said. And we talked about that of like, hey, when you took that last bit of chocolate, it made me feel like you didn't care.
Matter. Yeah.
I didn't matter. You didn't care about me. Yeah. So yeah, little things like that. Words make a difference. Like I'm still a stickler for words. I can't even get that word right. Of when people mess up your, you know what I'm talking about. Things like that matter to me because I do think, yeah, we could be like, oh, we'll just let it go. But that's the thing. I think at the end of the day, they add up and they mean something. So again, when I'm gonna bring this up. All right.
Also, words matter, but also like you can say the right words and not mean them as well.
True.
Check your feelings, your approach, your tone.
Authenticity is a word that I know is very important for both of us and Lexi as well. She's authentically playing with that Swiss ball.
What were you gonna say?
I was going to say. I lost my train of thought, is what I was going to say.
You're going to bring up an example of me?
Yeah, about me and you that you might not want me to share.
Well then, if you're not sure, err on the side of caution.
Lexi actually totally distracted me from it, so we'll have to save it for the next episode.
Ooh, suspense.
Yeah, to be continued. Anyway, we've had fun. We hope you guys got something out of this. Again, let's sum it up to say resilience is the ability to handle those conflicts that eventually will come down the pipeline, right?
And it doesn't mean, it doesn't mean that you don't feel that they're difficult or that you're not scared or that you're not stressed. These are natural emotions, we're human, but it's the ability to get through it, I guess, even if it is hard and build that confidence.
Lexi's having a good old time.
Okay.
We should wrap it up here. Lexi's having a good time. Resilience, hormesis, we covered.
Learning the skills to communicate constructively, talking about values and frustrations and needs in a safe, progressive way. In a relationship, building that trust with each other. I think trust is a huge thing in a relationship to build resilience. So yeah. And the last thing I'll say is, again, if you're feeling, again, I think we touched on a lot of stuff, and we don't like to do the like, here are the top 3 things you need to do about like blah, how to build resilience. There are those videos out there. I'm sure they are.
But at the end of the day, I want to circle that back to the fact that, again, if you don't feel equipped in your relationship, it's okay to reach out to a professional on either the mental or the physical or relational or even the sexual. We've been kind of avoided that, but that's another part. She's going to go up and bark right now. She heard something. She's going to protect us. She's going to let us know. Here it comes. Nope, we don't hear it yet. All right. I guess it wasn't as serious.
She's checking. She's checking. Yeah.
So what I was saying is, yes, on the sexual side, maybe we weren't supposed to touch that base, but same thing. Things build up. Things don't go as planned, per se. Things change. So, again, that's why there are people who specialize in helping with those issues. So if you are suffering from any of those or want to avoid...
Or have concerns or hopes and dreams, you don't have to be suffering.
Hopes and dreams.
We're here. I want to be an Olympic weightlifter. Oh, well, I did at some point. So I gave up on that dream. Yeah, we need people to help us with that.
I love her. I love you. I don't even know
too.
you. You love me too.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So get 1% better today. Hopefully something in here gave you some benefit or some kind of valuable action step. Again, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I get a lot out of them. It's all about what you can pull out of it. So video or audio, hopefully you got something out of it. Please leave a review in iTunes. It really helps us grow. Leave a comment somewhere. It'll tell us, what you want to hear. I'm going to hope to have her on more often. I think she's much more valuable than me in life and in general.
And let us know if you want a podcast purely about Lexi.
Yes.
Or with Lexi.
Well, now she's quiet.
And we will make that happen as well.
Yes, of course. All right. So you guys have a great day, night, wherever you are. Thank you. Get 1% better, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.